Hey guys, my name is Matimio, and today, as I'm sure all of you are very aware, the new Star Wars Battlefront trailer has finally released. It looked amazing, it was absolutely fantastic, but instead of dissecting the trailer, which I'm sure you've seen 1,000 times already, I wanted to go over some of the stuff that we've learned from this convention, what we've learned over the last couple of days, and talk about some of the stuff that looks awesome, that I can't wait to see, but also some of the things that were a little disappointing. And so the first thing that was a letdown is that apparently there isn't going to be space combat whatsoever. There's still going to be TIE fighters and X-Wings that you're going to be able to fly around. That's still going to be in the game, but it's going to be very reminiscent of Battlefield, where it's going to be in the atmosphere. You're going to be on a planet while you're flying these things around, and there isn't going to be any time where you're actually leaving the atmosphere and heading into space. I feel like this was a big missed opportunity. How amazing would it have been to have a game mode that was just centered around aerial combat, where you had two massive Star Destroyers and everyone was either in a TIE fighter or an X-Wing, and it was your job to take out key objectives on the battlefield, or maybe the objective was to just do as much damage as you possibly could to the enemy team's ship. That could have been amazing. And while I know that some people are already claiming that this isn't really all that big of a deal because eventually we're pretty much guaranteed to have a Star Wars game that is centered around aerial combat, I still feel like it was a big missed opportunity. Not only are we probably going to have to spend another $60 on that AAA title, but I just think that this would have been an amazing game mode. It would have been something that you really could have sold Battlefront on. I have a feeling that many people would have just bought in the game for that particular game mode in general. And so while it's not a deal breaker, I still think that Battlefront is going to be very promising. It was a little bit of a letdown. One thing that I was really excited to learn about, though, is that not only are they adding in co-op, where if you want to play split screen with one of your friends directly next to you, that is going to be available in Battlefront, but they're also adding in a partner or a buddy system. It's still a work in progress, I'm sure, but essentially the way it works is that not only are you going to be able to spawn on your partner, much like in Medal of Honor Warfighter with their buddy system, but you're also going to be able to share gear and experience. This is going to be amazing for getting newer players to jump into the franchise. I can speak from personal experience. I've had a lot of friends that have wanted to play Battlefield with me, or I've wanted them to get into the Battlefield franchise, but every time they jump in, they have a miserable experience because they haven't spent tens upon tens or even hundreds of hours to unlock all of the weaponry and the gadgets. For all the problems that Medal of Honor Warfighter had, I felt like one of the strongest aspects of that game was their buddy system. I love that you could spawn in on your teammate. I love that team dynamic that was going on, and it just seems like DICE is trying to take that a step further in Battlefront. And so I'm assuming what this system is going to accomplish is that if your friend has always been hesitant to jump into one of these huge AAA first-person shooters because they always felt like they were going to get left behind because they can't spend hours every day unlocking everything, or it's been a couple of months after the game releases, they don't want to jump in because they feel like they're going to be at a disadvantage because they don't have any of the unlocks. Well, everyone else, of course, does. This will be a great way to get them invested in the franchise and hopefully alleviate a lot of these problems. And so, top notch to DICE, I think that this is a phenomenal addition into the game. One thing that took me by surprise is that they're limiting the amount of players that you can have on a server to 40. You need 8 to start around, and then 40 is going to be the maximum. But the reason why this caught me off guard is that this is DICE we're talking about. The guys that created the Battlefield franchise. All-out expansive epic warfare. Battlefield 3 and in Battlefield 4, we could both have 64 player count servers. And so I was expecting in a truly next-gen game, this is only exclusive for the Xbox One, PlayStation 4, and PC, it's not going to be on the old-gen systems, that they would maybe push the envelope and bring up the player count maybe to 80. That was just what I was thinking a couple of months ago. Clearly, that's not going to be the case. The only thing that I can think of for why they reduced this player count is maybe they wanted to make it more manageable to create these maps. Having 100 people running around can be quite difficult to make the map flow correctly, but it could also come down to just hardware restrictions. This is pure speculation. I have no data to back this up, but I can only assume that the Xbox One, PlayStation 4, and even arguably a lot of PCs out there are gonna have a hard time running Battlefront. If the trailer is any indication of how amazing this game is going to look in the graphical department, this is truly going to be a next-gen experience, at least if in graphical fidelity. This game looks amazing, and it might be for this very reason why they reduced the player count, so that they could maintain that awesome graphical fidelity, but also have that nice 60 frames per second, which is essential in a first-person shooter. If the old-gen systems are any indication that DICE is willing to drop the player count, count. Like in Battlefield 3 and in 4, they dropped it, I think, to 24 if you were on the old gen consoles. Then that might be what we're running into right now with Battlefront, simply because the graphics are as amazing as they are right now. Once again, this is pure speculation, but knowing that this is DICE going off of their past record and knowing that they usually like to have all-out epic warfare, I really can't think of any other reason why they would reduce the player count. Not game-breaking, like I mentioned, as long as they balance the maps around it, but fairly surprising to say the least. One thing that I know many will be excited about is that they are not going to be using Battlelog whatsoever to launch Battlefront. Battlelog, if you're not aware, if you have never played a Battlefield game, is basically the way that you get into a server for the multiplayer or even launch the single player for every Battlefield game, or really almost every multiplayer game that has come out for EA in the last couple of years. And so instead of using this web-based launcher, they're now creating a system from the ground up that is going to be entirely in-game. You're going to be able to search in-game, you're going to be able to search through all of the servers and all that good stuff, and it's not going to touch Battlelog whatsoever. This comes as a little bit of a surprise because I always assumed Battlelog was DICE's baby. They're the ones that created it, they're the ones that first started to use it, and so it begs the question, are they unhappy with the way it's been performing over the last years? Do they find it to be restrictive? And is this the new way that they're going to be creating and launching their games in the future? I know many people will be excited about this, but it also came with some nice qualities. I mean, one of the best things about it is that you could track your stats over games very, very quickly. You could track the stats of your friends very, very quickly. And so while I'm not going to be sad if it's completely gone in the next couple of years, it does have its qualities, and it'll be interesting to see how they integrate it into their new system into Battlefront. The last thing that I wanted to do before I take off for today's video is to rattle off a bunch of facts and features that are definitely worth mentioning, but don't really need a whole lot of explanation. And the first thing is that we will be able to play as iconic characters. We saw Darth Vader in the trailer, and yes, you will absolutely be able to play him. We don't know how the Force system is going to work right now. We don't know how lightsabers are going to perform or how you're going to be able to unlock or use them on the battlefield, but it is definitely going to be in the game, and that sounds incredible. They will also be giving us free DLC called the Battle of Jakku if you either pre-order Star Wars Battlefront or if you basically just buy it before the DLC launches, which I believe is on December 8th. DICE has always been very good about releasing DLC, free DLC content. For Battlefield 3, it was Strike at Karkin. For Battlefield 4, I believe it was the Second Assault DLC. This has been something that they've been very good about and well known for, and I'm glad that they're extending it on over into Battlefronts. And then finally, we'll be able to play both in first-person and third-person mode. I can only assume that you'll be able to switch between that in the middle of combat. So if you want to peek around a corner, you can go into third person. If you want to get that pinpoint-like accuracy, you can quickly switch back on over into first. It'll be interesting to see how this dynamic plays out, which one players gravitate on over towards, but I know that this was a hot topic, and they confirmed at this convention that you will absolutely be able to play and switch between the two. But yeah, guys, that is about it for today's update on Star Wars Battlefront. I hope you enjoyed. Let me know what you thought about this reveal. Were you ecstatic? Were you a little disappointed that we didn't see any gameplay whatsoever? Let me know down below. But yeah, guys, until tomorrow, have a good one and take it easy.